Hi friends, Krista here. Thanks for stopping by Books and Jams. I'm so glad that you're here. I am really excited about the video that I have for you today because it's something totally different and fun that I just kind of stumbled across a couple days ago. I was watching Angie at Literary Labors do this video called The BookTube Spin. I was like, oh, the BookTube Spin, what's this? And the idea of it came from Rick, I think his name is McDonnell. Rick's channel, I will link below. He is the creator of the BookTube Spin. I think he got the idea from somewhere else, but what it is this. I'm gonna choose 20 books from my shelves. He encourages you to choose a couple categories and then pick books from each of those categories, which is what I did, and I'll get to that in a minute. And then on January 31st, he's gonna spin a wheel with 20 numbers on it, and randomly, one of them will pop up, and I'm gonna have 2 months to read that book. I love this. I have been I've been thinking about a way to add some randomization into my TBRs, but I didn't want to do it every single month because I love working towards my reading goals that I'm working on. But this is a way to every couple months pick a book randomly that might not have been on the front of my mind. And so I have written down here 20 books, and I'm going to tell you the 4 different categories that I chose and 5 books for each category. So let's just jump right in. The first category that I picked is Christian nonfiction. These are books, some of them are rereads, and some of them have been on my shelves for a really long time. Actually, most of these books that are in this 20 have been on my shelves for a really, really long time. So this might be what I need, the push that I need to get to them. So number 1 on my list is Mere Christianity by C.S. Lewis. This is a book I have read, but the last time I read it was when I was in college. That was a long time ago. And so I'm really excited to reread this. I've been wanting to reread it. I really loved it when I read it in college, and I think that it's an important read, and I really have quite a few C.S. Lewis on my shelves that I want to get to, but I wanted to reread this one first. Right now, I'm reading Becoming Mrs. Lewis, which is a historical fiction about the relationship of C.S. Lewis and his wife, Joy. So I'm really like in a C.S. Lewis kind of a mood. So I feel like this will be a really good one. So I don't know if number 1's going to come up, but that's my first book. The second book I have is David by Charles Swindoll. My mom has loved this series of character studies that Charles Swindoll does. I think there's like 9 or 10 in the series now or something like that. I haven't read any of them. I have a handful of them on my shelves. I used to give them to my mom for Christmas and her birthday. And now I own them all because she has read through them all. She said that they're so, so good. And so they've been on my shelves for quite a long time. It's time to dive in. So I'm putting the first one, David, on my list for the BookTube Spin. The third book, number 3, is Jesus Manifesto by Leonard Sweet and Frank Viola. I received this when I lived in Lancaster, Pennsylvania, which was more than 10 years ago I've gotten this. So it's been on my shelves for a really long time, and it's just time that I pick it up and read it. So that's number 3. Number 4 is another one. I think this used to belong to my dad. Yeah. This one was my dad's. My dad passed away 1997, so whatever that is ago, a long time ago. And this was part of his library at our church, Calvary Assembly of God, and that's my dad's handwriting, and I've never read it. So it's The Imitation of Christ by Thomas à Kempis, just another kind of classic Christian nonfiction that I really want to read, so I'm putting it on this list. That's number 4. And number 5 is another reread. It's a little tiny one, but it packs a big punch, and that's The Knowledge of the Holy by A.W. Tozer. I have reread this probably 2 or 3 times, and every time it speaks to me in different ways, and I just really love it, even though it's such a thin little book. Yeah, I'm just really eager to reread this one, so I'm putting it on this list. So that's the first 5. The second set of books are all from my BookTube Recommends project that I've done for the past 3 years, and these 5 books have been on the list all 3 years, and I haven't read them yet. Shame on me. So I just picked there were only 5 of them that have been on the list for 3 years and I haven't read, so these are going to be the next set. So we have number 6, Beneath a Scarlet Sky by Mark Sullivan. I think this is a World War II historical fiction. Really looking forward to it. I think it takes place in Italy. Number 7 is a little bit of a fantasy, Fawkes. I think this is going to retell the story of Guy Fawkes, and yet it's also a fantasy. This is by Nadine Brandes. And it says, Thomas Fawkes is turning to stone, and the only cure to the stone plague is to join his father's plot to assassinate the King of England. Dun, dun, dun. I've heard good things about this. I believe that this is a Christian historical fantasy. So interesting take there. Number 8 is The Memory Keeper's Daughter by Kim Edwards. I think the book starts out with a doctor delivering his own twins, like his wife's twins, and one of them is born healthy and one of them is born with Down syndrome. And it kind of, the story takes off from there. So yeah, it's been on my list for 3 years and I haven't read it yet. Number 9 is The Red Tent by Anita Diamant. This is a book, Diamant, sorry, I said that funny. This is a book I've been really wanting to read, and I've heard such high praise for it. It's been on my shelves for a really long time, ridiculous long time. Yeah, and I just haven't gotten to it. So this is a biblical fiction, I think, retelling of Jacob's wives and daughters, something like that. I don't know. Need to do it. And then number 10, that's also been recommended 3 years in a row, is Water for Elephants by Sarah Gruen. And I believe this takes place in a circus. So should be an interesting story. All of those have been, I know, like highly recommended to me, and I just haven't gotten to them yet. All right, the next stack is so big. These are intimidating books on my TBR. And because we have 2 months to read the book once it's chosen, I feel like this is a good time to put some of these books on the list. So these are all chunky books that probably are going to be a little bit heavy at times, but ones that I really want to read also. So the first one is Caste by Isabel Wilkerson, The Origins of Our Discontents. And this just talks about the unspoken caste system within America and how that affects racism and economics and everything else. So I've heard such high praise for Isabel Wilkerson and this book in particular. So this is number 11. Number 12 is Stamped from the Beginning by Ibram X. Kendi, which also is going to deal with racism in America, and it's just so big. It's wonderfully floppy, but yeah, this is going to be a heavy read, and I probably will need 2 months to read it. So I'm kind of hoping all these get chosen because I do really want to read these books. The next one is on my sequels shelf, and it's World Without End. This is number 13. World Without End by Ken Follett. This is heavy. This is the heaviest book I've picked up yet. Holy cow, it's a heavy book. It's definitely over 1,000 pages, like 1,010 or something like that. But oh my word, it's a heavy book. I may have to end up getting the audiobook or something if I end up picking this one. But this is the second book to Pillars of the Earth, which I read a couple years ago and just haven't picked up the sequel yet. Another lovely floppy book. But that's 13. 14 is another sequel, Voyager by Diana Gabaldon. This is book 3 in the Outlander series. We continue to follow Claire and Jamie and the next generation, I believe, beyond them. So I'm really excited for that. And another intimidating one. It's not quite as big. Yeah, this one is not even 600 pages, but for some reason I feel intimidated by this one. It's Life After Life by Kate Atkinson. And I know people have loved it, but it just, for some reason, I haven't been drawn to pick it up. So I'm putting it in with these intimidating books, and this is number 15. And my last section is books that have been on my Goodreads for a really long time. I might have added them to my want to read shelf before I ever owned them, but they've been on my shelves for a long time. Many of them have made it onto TBRs over the last few years, but I just haven't ever picked them up, and they've been on my Goodreads owned TBR shelf for the longest. So we have The Curious Incident of the Dog in the Nighttime for number 16 by Mark Haddon. This is going to deal with an autistic boy and him trying to solve a mystery about a dog or something in his neighborhood. So I've heard good things about that. A book of the month pick that was like from 2017, Perfect Little World by Kevin Wilson. I've talked about this many times because it's been on many TBRs, but this is kind of an experiment, a sociological experiment where these doctors create a little utopian ideal community, and there's not like family units, so the whole community raises all the kids and different things like that, but I'm sure things are not going to go quite as they expect. The Secret Diary of Lizzie Bennet by Bernie Sue and Kate Rorick. I know that this has been on my shelf for probably 5 years or more because watching the Lizzie Bennet Diaries is what got me started with BookTube, because books videos started showing up in my suggested feed when I was watching when I was watching the Lizzie Bennet Diaries. And so when I found out there was a book about it very early in my booktube days, I had to grab it. So this has been on my shelves for a really long time. So this is number 18. Number 19 is a book that I heard about very, very early in my booktube days when YA fantasy books were kind of the norm of what everybody seemed to be reading, or everyone that I was watching at the time seemed to be reading. And so I picked up Poison Study by Maria V. Schneider. It's one of the few that has stayed on my shelves since that time that I'm still very interested in reading. So that's there for 19. And number 20, the last option is Bitter Greens by Kate Forsyth. This is a Rapunzel retelling. It's a bit chunky. It's been on my shelves for a long time. It's been on my radar for a long time. Kate Forsyth has a couple other books, but I'm determined to not buy them until I read this one. So this is number 20. So in just a couple days, Rick is going to be spinning the wheel and I'll be watching with bated breath to see what number comes up. And I have February and March to read one of these books. I have the books written down. I haven't they're only penciled in right now, but I have the books written down. I'll make this page a little bit prettier. I'm going to try to make a wheel down here, all that things. And it's really bad right now, but I have all my choices written down. I'm going to keep this stack. Like a couple other people that I've seen do this video say, I may get to some of these. I mean, the wheel's going to be spun a couple times throughout the year, and I'm not going to necessarily hold on to Mere Christianity and hope that a number 1 gets spun. I might read Mere Christianity. In that case, I'll either skip to the next number or put another book in its place. I'm not sure what I'll do yet, but we'll see what happens when the time comes. But for now, these are the 20 books. The wheel's getting spun in just a couple of days. I cannot wait. We'll have to wait and see which book I'm going to be reading. So I didn't add it in my February TBR that's already live because I just don't know what it's going to be yet. But I would love to know if you're participating in the BookTube spin, if you've heard about it, what categories of books would you put in your pile? Well, how would you go about choosing 20 books? I just think it's fun to add a little bit of randomization. Thank you so much for Rick for putting this together. I would love to know if you have a video about the BookTube spin, I'll go and watch it. I've been watching a bunch of people. I love it. And that's it for today. Let me know what you think about these books or anything else. You guys know I love talking with you down in the comments. And that's it for today. I will be talking to you in another video very soon. Bye.